Hey everyone, this is Rachel with Songbird Crafts Inc., formerly Stamping Songbird, and girl, use your stash. This is my first time using Spellbinders Uncharted Waters stencil. Here I have two sets of dies and a stencil. First set is Guiding Light, second is Set Sail, and the third is the stencil that I'm actually going to use called Uncharted Waters. I have never used these. I bought them a long time ago and I never used them, so I'm going to do that today. And this is part of a series of items that I've never used. And girl, I'm just going to use my stash. So here we're starting with the first of 6 stencils that come in this set. The first part of the stencil will color in or create the base of the water. I placed that on a grip mat that I got from Recollections, which is a brand from Michaels. I start with tumbled glass to create a light color of water. I fill in a couple of spots there that I think needed to be darkened a little bit. Then I move on to stencil number 2. And one of the great things about these stencils is that they have a little number etched on them so you know exactly what order to go in. Now you can see that my paper is a lot smaller than the stencil, but that's okay. All you have to do is move your stencil around to make sure that it covers the images exactly. I start to color in the clouds and the rocks in Lost Shadow. I move on to the next stencil, which will give me some of that greenery in the background. And the sky. So I'm going to use tumbled glass. Actually, I used Mermaid Lagoon for the water and tumbled glass for the sky. Tumbled glass is a lot lighter than Mermaid Lagoon. I start filling that in with a very light hand, and then I move on to mowed lawn to create the greenery. I do fill in any spots that I think need a little bit more. So when you're using stencils, you have to make sure that you are covering the images that you've already colored in or blended with your ink. I'm sorry about my camera going in and out of focus. As I'm recording, I never noticed that. I'm noticing it now as I'm doing this voiceover, and it is a brand new camera. So I go back in and I give the rocks a little darker shade of gray, and then I move on with mowed lawn to create the greenery in the back. I think that focus that goes in and out is because my hands are moving a lot. That's already looking really, really good. There are a couple of spots there that I noticed that have a white outline, which means that I wasn't perfectly aligned. So you can just put your stencil right back on, and then you can start blending in with the same ink that you had before. Okay, so this part is going to give some dark parts to create some dimension in the rocks and some land in the background. I'm using Vintage Photo for the land. And I believe that I used Hickory Smoke for the rocks. I then move on to the next portion, which will give me some of the ripples in the water and the birds in the sky. So I'm using black soot for the birds in the sky, which is very, very quick. And then I move on, I think, to Mermaid Lagoon for the ripples in the water. Yes, Mermaid Lagoon for the ripples in the water. And I try to darken that as much as possible so there could be a difference in the water that's underneath and the water that's creating the ripples. I'm also following the picture that is on the packaging because that is a great guide. If you get stuck on color combinations, just start with what the guide tells you, and then you can get creative after that. I move on to the next stencil. Again, you see that I am not perfectly aligned, so I just move my stencil where it needs to go. I add, I think this is Hickory Smoke at the top, and then the stenciling is done. Now, these two rocks are from the guiding light set. I also created the lighthouse from the guiding light set off camera. I add those there and it gives a great dimension. Almost looks like it's popping out, although I did not add any dimension to the back of it. And it also gives it a lot more texture. I removed all of the pieces so that I could add glue or double-sided tape and then adhere them permanently to the front of the card. Off screen, I did create some matting and the base of the card. So here I have attached everything to the base of the card, and the card measures 6 by 6. Finally, I'm going to add a sentiment, which is kind of ironic because it says, hope your day is as bright as the sun, yet there is no sun in the image. I still think it's fitting. That's it. I used my stash. First time ever using Spellbinders, Uncharted Waters stencils. I hope this inspires you to check these stencils out or any other stencils at Spellbinders. They're amazing. I'll put everything that you need to know in the description below. This has been the first episode of Girl, Use Your Stash. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see next. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.